let's go ahead and talk about identifying the graph of a function. And in this section, we're going to be taking a look at a couple graphs, and we're going to be performing what's called the vertical line test on each of our graphs. So let's go ahead and take a look at this first graph. We're going to be working with the graph of y equals x squared, which is a parabola that opens upward. And we're going to go ahead and draw a vertical line through our graph. And it doesn't matter where you draw that vertical line. Right? The idea here is that when I draw this vertical line, it's only going to cross my graph in one point. Right? So if the vertical line touches or crosses that graph in one spot, then this would be an example of something that is a function. Let's go ahead and take a look at a second example. This time we're going to go ahead and use the y equals x cubed graph. And we'll go ahead and draw our vertical line through our graph. And you'll notice that it touches or crosses right here on our graph. It only crossed one time. So this would be an example of something that is a function. Let's go ahead and take a look at two more examples. In this next one, you'll see that this is the graph of x equals y squared, which is a sideways parabola that opens up to the right. And we can go ahead and draw our vertical line through this graph. I'm going to draw mine right here. And you'll notice that it crossed once, twice. Right, so this would be an example of something that is not a function. And you might be asking yourself, well, what would happen if I drew my vertical line over here, right? It's not going to go through my graph at all, so that would hit 0 times. I could also be the person who draws it right here along this y-axis, right? And this would be something maybe where it hits only once right there at that vertex. And so you might be inclined to say, oh, well, this might be a function, right? But you want to consider any vertical line through that graph. So the fact that our first one crossed that graph twice means this one is not a function. And our last example down here, this is a graph of a circle. Our equation here is x squared plus y squared equals 1. Right, and again, kind of the same idea. I could be the person who draws my line way over here, and it's not going to go through my circle at all. Right? Or maybe I'm going to draw my vertical line right here, and you're like, oh, look, maybe it touches just once right there on the edge of the circle. Right? Each of those cases is irrelevant, because I can draw it through the circle itself, and when I do that, it's going to cross my graph once, twice. Right? So this is an example that is not a function.